Yo, what's good YouTube? Back with another video, and today we're going to be doing a character overview for Reptile. So we're going to look at his buttons, his strings, his movement, and then his specials. And then at the end of the video, there's going to be a few combos to get you guys started. So let's get into the video. Okay, so first we're going to start off with his movement. Reptile's movement is pretty good. He does get across the screen in 3 dashes, and his dash blocking is also good as well. It's definitely not the fastest in the game, but he can definitely move around. And plus he has other specials that get him across the screen quicker too, but we're going to look at that later. His standing 1 and his standing 2 are basic, as most Mortal Kombat characters are. They both are high, so if the opponent is ducking, he will punch out over them. On block, his standing 1 is +2, but his standing 2 is 0 on block. Next, for his standing 3 is very unique. So as you can see, yeah, that's his standing 3. It is 2 hits, the first hit being a high and the second hit being a medium. But one thing that's really good about this button, despite it being a high, is that its range is actually ridiculous. So as you can see, I'm not very close to Liu Kang, but he's still gonna get smacked by my tail. It doesn't really have any use inside of combos, but again, in the neutral, this is a pretty good button. On block, both hits still do come out, and it actually does bring you closer to him, but it is -7, so just keep that in mind. You're not necessarily gonna get punished for it, but you pretty much give up your turn if they do block this attack. But again, if you do space it out properly, you still will be negative, and it still is -7, but since you're further away, the opponent can't do as much to you to continue the pressure, so just remember that. And Reptile standing 4 is pretty much going to be used exclusively for anti-airs and combos. Honestly, Reptile doesn't have the strongest anti-airs, but in this game, it seems that everybody's standing 1 is a pretty good anti-air, and the standing 4 is as well, so just keep that in mind. You can see he does hit pretty high above his head, so again, it is a pretty decent anti-air. I don't think it's the best, but I mean, if you know he's going to jump, you can definitely use this as an anti-air and get your combos going, so just keep that in mind. His standing 4 on block actually is +1, but again, it is a high, so there's no reason to really be throwing this out in neutral. Like I said, it's pretty much exclusively for combos and anti-airs, so just keep that in mind. Moving on to his strings, his standing 1-1 ends in a mid, and the 1-1-3 ends in a kick. The kick is not special cancelable, but if you are in the corner, you do get a down 1 poke to continue the combo with. On block, his standing 1-1, the second hit is a mid, and it is 0 on block, which is pretty good, but again, it does have that high starter, so just keep that in mind. And if you do the full string, which is 1-1-4, it is -7 on block, so again, it does give up your turn, so just keep that in mind. And it also does end in a mid as well, so they cannot duck it. Onto his standing 2 strings, he does have 2 variations, so it's going to be standing 2 into standing 3, which ends in a launcher, and then standing 2 into standing 4, which ends in a low. Obviously, with the launcher, you will be getting combos because you can move right after. So keep that in mind. It's going to be one of your main combo starters. And I guess the mix here is if somebody thinks you're going to be doing the 2-3 into the launcher, then if they try to duck it, if you go for the low, they will get hit. The launcher is -14 on block, so it is punishable, so be careful with it. Again, they can also duck it as well, so no matter what, if you throw this button out, if it doesn't get hit, whether if they duck it or block it, you're going to get punched in the face. And then his 2-4 is -10 on block, so again, if they block it, you're probably going to get blown up, so just keep that in mind. His back 2 does have interesting properties, so if you press back 2, it is an overhead, and if you just tap it, it's just a quick overhead. If you hold it, he can charge it, and if you hold it all the way, it actually does launch up for a full combo punish. The timing is kind of strict to continue the combo, so just keep that in mind, but those are his options from it. On block, his overhead is -13, so again, you will be punished. If you slightly hold it, it's a little bit less negative and -7, so you can just get away from that punishing range. And if you fully charge it, it is -3, but with all the pushback, it doesn't even really matter. You're completely safe with this attack. His 4-3 is going to be his mid starter. It is relatively quick because it does start off in 12 frames, which seems to be about, I want to say, the regular for most of the characters I've seen so far. But again, this is going to be his mid starter. And on block, his mid starter is only going to be -4, so you can stagger it if you like. From his mid starter, you do have a few options that you can go with. You can do 1-1, which is going to be this cool attack right here. It is not special cancelable on the very last hit, so if you are going to do a special cancel, it has to be either on the first hit or the second. On block, the second hit is going to be -6, and then if you do the full string, you're going to be -7. And he does have 2 other branching options from his mid starter. You can either do standing 3, which is going to be another launcher. It's pretty much the same string almost. However, if you do the one that starts with the mid, it does do a little bit more damage. And in combos, since the mid does make you go further a little bit, it does help some consistency with some combos. And again, it also does have that tiny little damage buff. And also his standing 4 is going to be another low. So it's pretty much the same as his standing 2-4. But again, the damage is a little bit different, and the difference is that it starts off with a mid as opposed to a high. And it does have the same frame data, so if you do the full string, it is -14 on block. And as for the low, again, it is -10 on block. Next, he does have some low. Next, he does have a low starter, and it actually does have some range to it, so you can space it out and do it from quite far away. And it goes straight from a low into a mid, into another low. On block, the low is only -6, and then if you do the follow-up, it's going to be -7. If you go ahead and commit to the full string, you guessed it, you're negative as hell. It's -23, and you're going to get full punished. He does have another high starter in his forward 3. It is a pretty good advancing button. Again, it's a high, so it can be ducked under, but again, it does advance pretty far. And it's actually pretty useful in combos because for whatever reason, the juggle state gives you a little bit more time as opposed to some of the other kicks he has. And from this string, he can either do standing 2, which is going to be this cool grab animation. And if they are being juggled, it does ground them to complete the animation. And you can finish it out with 1-1, which knocks them away again. And again, you can't cancel when you go into that lizard form. The positive to ending with this grab button is that it also does allow you to get another special after, but it only does allow you to do 2 of his specials. So the first one is going to be his death roll, and then the second one is going to be his invisibility. And obviously he does have a pretty standard pokes in his down 1. His back 3 is actually amazing because it goes super far, as you can see. He slides forward and it is a low and it does knock down. And then his down 4 honestly it's okay. It doesn't even have as much range as you think it was, and his down 3 actually does have slightly more range than his down 4. As for his air combo, Scorpion virtually has none. He has 1-2, and then he has 2-3-3. And this is actually a pretty good one because if you do the full string, you actually can combo it into his down Reptile. So just to show you how it looks. Oops. And just so you know, you can't actually match the combo. You have to be pretty precise because if you do, then the special is not going to come out at the end. And then for his specials, he has down forward 1, which is acid spit, and it actually leaves you very plus. And then if you meter burn it, you can do it from a lot further away. Then he has his dash attack where he runs up. If you do it from full screen, it actually doesn't hit, and you just end up right in front of them. And if you meter burn it from full screen, you recover a lot faster. But it still looks the same on hit, just a little bit more damage. Also, something to note that for whatever reason, this special does not work unless they're on the ground. So if they're airborne, when you hit them with it, you just run right past them, whether it's meter burned or not. Next, he's gonna have his force ball, which is down forward 3, and he has 3 ranges: his close, his mid, and then his far. And then if you meter burn it, if you do the close, it goes really slow so you can walk behind it. And then if you meter burn any other speed, then obviously it just gets faster and faster. But the only way to get it to go full screen, even if you do the far, is if you meter burn it. Next is his death roll. This attack is very good because it does go underneath fireballs, but it does have a little bit of startup, so just keep that in mind because he does transform first and then slide. And it also has armor, so it's going to be a wake up attack as well if you meter burn it. And it will go full screen if you meter burn it as well, but only if you meter burn it. And then Reptile has his invincibility, which is going to be down up 4. Whoops. The EX version and the regular version do have the same startup and recovery, but I believe if you do go EX, he does stay invisible a little bit longer. And then finally, down forward back is going to be his falling attack, which can only be done in the air, and he does fall down from the sky as a big ass lizard. So it does have different ranges, but it is not full screen. It's going to be his close, and then it's going to be his mid. He doesn't have a far, so it's going to be just those 2 ranges, and this move can only be performed in the air. And again, if you do an air combo, it is a nice ender. His fatal blow is an overhead, and it actually does hit from pretty far away. So I don't think you should just be throwing out fatal blows randomly in neutral. But if you play like that, you know, look, you have some range where it actually hits, just so you know. And again, it is the overhead. All right, so that's gonna be his character overview. I just went over his pretty basic stuff, his buttons, his strings, and now we're gonna look at some combos. Alright, and that's gonna do it for this video. If you made it all the way to the end, I appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.